Okay, so my first step is going to be ungrouping this whole design. So I'll right click, ungroup, and I want to attach a shape to each color layer, and that's going to help me layer once I cut it. I'm going to grab this star right here. You can use any shape. Something that has more points and is a little bit more complicated will be better. And I'm going to resize it pretty small. We'll zoom in here. And we're gonna put it in an area that has a little bit of space. It's not touching any other elements. It can be pretty close to other things, but maybe we'll go up here. And this will be repeated on each color layer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this 4 times for each of the color layers that I do have. So I've duplicated it 4 times and I've got all 4 stars selected, and I'm going to align them all directly on top of each other. So I'm gonna go up to the align panel here, and we're gonna say align or center vertically, and then center horizontally. And now they're all together. I'm just gonna move them back to that spot that I had them. Perfect. Now we go to our layers panel. So I'm just gonna grab 1 star and 1 color layer and attach them together. I just need both my hands to do this, so hold on one second. Okay, so now that I've got 1 star and 1 color layer selected, I'm gonna attach those 2 together. And we will repeat this process for the 3 remaining stars and the 3 remaining color layers. So now we have each color layer with their own layering star. And when we click on make it, those will all go onto their own mats, and we will see each mat has that star. And this is what is going to help us layer. Okay, so I already have all of my pieces cut, and now I'm gonna show you how we can start layering. So the first layer is always easy because you're not putting it on top of anything else. So I'm just taking my most top color layer, putting on my transfer tape. I'm gonna get the vinyl and transfer tape, and then I'll come back for the second. So now with the color that goes next, I'm gonna make sure that I've got the right orientation, that the star is in the right spot. You can reference your design on your screen in design space. So I'm just gonna put that down. Parchment paper is your friend. You will lay your parchment paper down, and you will take transfer tape with the first color on it, lay it on the parchment paper. It's not going to stick, so it's going to help us line up the star. So here's our first star. I don't know if you can see it. And then our second star. You'll be able to see through the parchment paper. So basically I'm just lining up those 2 stars as best I can. And then once I've got those stars lined up, I'm just going to take a look at where everything is falling, and it looks pretty good. I will make small adjustments based off of what I see, but the star is a really good first guideline. Okay. And then once I think I have a pretty good placement, I just moved it. I will hold it down, pick up my transfer tape, rip off the end of the parchment paper, and I'll just let that fall down. Scrub it so that it's really stuck down to that first layer. And then lift the tape up and wiggle the parchment paper out, and then we can just let that fall the rest of the way. And there's our first 2 layers. So I'm going to repeat all those steps with my 3rd color. Make sure it's the right way. Get my parchment paper back out. Take my transfer tape here with the stars. And do the exact same thing. Gonna line it up. Take a look at all of the balls. Just adjust it ever so slightly to get them in the right spot. It is tough when there's lots of little pieces, but It doesn't have to be perfect when it's kind of like this more abstract looking design. So I'm just shifting it like millimeters in different directions. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna let that piece fall. And remove the parchment paper. All right, last color. This is our base color. It's pretty much gonna bring the whole thing together. Parchment paper. Our transfer tape. Oh. Okay, and we're just gonna line up those stars again. The important part is well, once you've got this aligned, the star part, you can take a look at all the individual pieces and just move it as you need to. I have a random piece right there. See? I mess up too. And when I start to see them look pretty good, I'll let it down. I'm not totally satisfied yet. I move this up. Bottom needs to shift a bit. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, just go with that one. Okay. It definitely takes patience, but okay. I'm gonna secure that placement. What? It's a random star there. See, don't worry. This kind of stuff happens to me all the time. Okay, I'm gonna let that drop. I'm gonna scrub it. And I can take out, like, see, here's a random piece. And this random star. I'm just gonna flip this over and scrub it some more. Okay, so I have my mat out of the way. And I'm just gonna pick off this little guy here. Come with me. We can put them on the cup later. I just take some of these rogue pieces and put them to the side on my parchment paper. But I think everything else looks pretty good. But as you can see, like, even mine are just ever so slightly off. And I think that's okay. I mean, this one is a little wild. I'm definitely gonna remove that little piece there. But besides that, I think it looks okay. A little messy. This one is definitely probably one of the hardest layering ones, the most challenging. And like, I can just take this little piece and like stick it anywhere. Just like make it look like it was meant to be in this spot. Okay. So now I can show you what it looks like on the cup. So I have my cup. First, I'm going to put my design on parchment paper again, and then I'm just going to cut really close to the edges here so that it makes applying to my cup a lot easier. I always use parchment paper when I apply to my cups. It just lets me like really nail out the placement before I fully commit and stick it down. So I'm gonna cut this excess off. Okay. Now that I have that, I'm gonna take my cup. This one's gonna be a bit easier because it doesn't have a logo hole. But basically I just flip it around right away. Look at the back seam. Everything will and should be seamless. So this one looks pretty straightforward. Just make sure all my lines at the top are good. Make sure nothing's passing the crease at the bottom. And so once I'm happy with the placement, I'm gonna leave a little piece sticking out with no parchment paper underneath. And that's the piece that I'm going to stick down to secure the placement. So I'm really going to scrub that little piece down. And it, oh Lord. It's not really enough, this tiny piece here, to hold it. So I am gonna rip a little bit more parchment paper from the bottom here, if I can get it. So I'm gonna hold this, lift up the transfer tape a bit, and just rip more. Okay, so making sure that nothing is moved, I'm just gonna lay that down. Now that should be good. And we will wiggle out the parchment paper like we did before. So separate the tape and the parchment, lift the tape up, and just wiggle it. Maybe a little bit more separation here. There we go. Okay, and now when you lay this down, it's gonna lay exactly how you stuck it down at the back. So I just slowly go around putting everything down. Like that. So it lines up at the back perfectly. All of the stars are seamless. And so I'm gonna take the tape off and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'll show you guys a bit of the peel off process. For starters, I lost another piece, but it's fine, it's fine. My best trick is to hold the tape as close to the cup as possible, get like a really tight roll. That's how I find the vinyl sticks better, like if I'm rolling like that. But I still have some pieces that pop up and don't want to stick, but I just give them like a little rub over, hold them down. So I just like pull and keep that tension. Like that. So I peeled all the tape off. The last step is to just push down any bubbles if you see them. With bigger pieces of vinyl, like the big circle in the back, it's more likely that you'll get a couple bubbles, but you can just smooth them out. Take off your layering stars. Don't forget this. I always forget this. And then I just give the cup like a once over, and I see if there's any pieces that I can move if possible and I want to move. So if there's something like randomly in the middle, I'll pick it up and I'll put it, you know, in a new spot where it should be. But I think this is pretty good. But like I did lose a lot of pieces. They're all over my desk here. So it's totally normal. I lost on the transfer tape. In every step, I basically lost pieces. And that's just what happens when the pieces are so small or the design is really detailed. But these designs, especially the more challenging ones, are so worth it in the end. They just have so much life and they just look so good. So yeah, if you're having trouble layering, hopefully this helps. And if you have any questions about anything I did in the video, just let me know and I'll answer you.